ProjectFandom.com. I'm your host, Nina.
I'm Donald.
And I'm Kaylee.
And we are back to discuss Flower of Evil. We're going to be talking about episodes 7 and 8. Wait a second. Why did I think this was only 8 episodes? It can't be.
No, it's like 16.
Oh, what's wrong with me?
Because I was after these 2 episodes, I went and checked last night. I was like, how many fucking episodes is this?
I gotta check the schedule because then I guess I was wrong. Okay. Yes. So we were just talking about this before we went live. That Kaylee and I watched another K-drama over the past week. It's called.
We started it and finished it in the time between the last 2 episodes of this.
Yes.
And
yes. Because we were watching 2. It's 8 episodes total. It is available on Amazon Prime and Wiki. But if you get it, what did I say?
Wiki.
No, I said Viki.
No, you said Wiki.
I said Viki.
You said Wiki.
But if you go to Amazon Prime, you have to sign up for the Cocoa channel, I guess. I thought it came free with your Amazon Prime, but Kimberly H said that she went, and I think they want you to do that. But anyway, those are the 2 ways that you can watch it. It is 8 episodes. It's called Weak, as in not strong, Weak Hero Class 1, the number 1, and it is so good. It's only 8 episodes. Knock it out. You should watch it. I cannot stress how good it is, even though Donnie is like being weird about it.
That's my number 2 K-drama.
Yeah, Kaylee and I ranked our K-dramas through this sorter, and of the 14 that she's watched, it's number 2. I have to do my list over because I thought I only seen 17 K-dramas.
14 on mine.
12?
I think it was 12.
I had 16, but I forgot to include the Uncanny Counter because I was like going through ones that we've podcast and stuff, and I forgot the Uncanny Counter. Uncanny Counter on Netflix is one that I just kind of watched on my own for fun. So yeah, to rank them, my number 1 was what? Attorney Woo. My number 2 was Goblin, and both of us, our least favorite in our list was Hellbound. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, we're here to talk about Flower of Evil. Again, we had taken a break for a few days, and I was worried when we watched the episodes. We watched one last night, and I was kind of tired, and we watched one today. And I was worried that, like, I wouldn't be into it because we'd been away from it for a minute. Because usually we were watching them like every other day or so.
Yeah, I remember when we started, I was like, this is potential to be top 3. And then we watched Hero Class 1. Yeah. And I'm like, that's one of my top 3 now. So this is still good.
This is still really good.
No longer top 3 though.
Yeah.
Maybe like a 5.
Yeah. But it's good. I was like, oh yeah, I remember why. Because there's just so much going on. Anyway, what did you think of these episodes, Donnie?
These were much better than a lot. There's just a lot happened in these 2 episodes. A lot of answers we got. Mostly. Still, like the son, we know the mother did something.
I was right.
Yeah.
We just haven't seen exactly what she did yet.
Yeah.
But you were right on that. Or Kaylee was right. I was right on. I knew he didn't kill that fucking guy.
But the sister did it.
Yeah. Because
I was right on that. Why are you taking credit for me? Well, whatever. Okay, we were both right, but I know I said that.
Yeah, I just he hasn't killed anybody.
Yet.
He ain't going to kill nobody unless he has to.
He might kill.
The stuff with the wife
him up.
The stuff with the wife was started getting real frustrating because she just wouldn't come out and ask him.
Like
she was just trying to get him to admit it, and that basically took him everywhere to the fucking crime scenes and shit.
Yeah.
He to the point where he's having a fucking heart attack, and she still wouldn't. And then, then at the end, I got frustrated because she's like, you know what? I'm just gonna live like it is. I was like, what?
Well, no, what she said was, it's her, because she was, one thing, remember, she knows is that he does care for their daughter. So she was like, right. My last gift to you is to allow you to live this life for our daughter.
Right.
And she plans on leaving his ass.
That's what it sounded like,
Yeah, but for now, she's just gonna, because she doesn't believe, if she thought that he was, if she knew that what she knows, like who he really is, plus she thought that he had done that stuff, she wouldn't do this.
Right.
Yeah.
But the fact that now his sister's involved, the reporter's been involved.
We got two separate Scooby gangs going on.
I'm like, just tell your fucking wife. She'll understand. She'll be into your little Scooby gang. Like, I just, that's the part that kind of frustrates
But
me.
he doesn't know that.
Right.
Because she's a cop. And, like, that's asking her, like, because what if she says no?
That's true.
Like, what if she's super angry and she's like, absolutely not?
But he has to know. Like, I'm still surprised that he was still acting like she didn't know. And
I don't get that either.
I don't get that. Like, that makes no sense to me. The fact that what she was doing to him, like he just couldn't catch on that she knew.
It was so obvious, I thought.
Same thing. As far as the accomplice, I have no fucking clue.
It's his other son. Yeah. It's that man's other son. I'm telling you.
What's the other son?
Nika. The father had another son. I'm sure of it.
We just don't know about yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't think it's anybody that we've met.
Right.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
It's gonna be like one of the police officers.
although,
I feel like we've met him, and I don't know.
I'm gonna kill your dog. Although, what I was trying to say before my dog was being an asshole was, I was thinking my working theory right now is that it is someone who, obviously this person was close to the father because of the way that,
right,
he is talking about it. Like he talked about him. And when the sister says how, at the funeral, he was like, I feel sorry for him because things are going to get worse for him. It just feels like he had a relationship with the father that was closer. Mm-hmm. For instance, remember in that flashback when he wanted his son to kill the rabbit and he's like, I'm going to stand here and watch.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we revisit that scene and find out he couldn't do it.
Right.
And
but the one somebody brought, I think it was the first episode, somebody brought up the fact that he was drowning dogs in a well or something like that.
He had killed a dog and he said that he wanted the neighbor. He was just trying to get at the neighbor who was really mean.
Okay.
And that to me, I mean, yeah, that's fucked up, but it feels like the type of thing that a kid who is under the kind of psychological pressure that his father would have been putting on him and the things that he maybe knew about his father, that's like a lashing out thing. Like, I don't know if that's necessarily enough to be like, this kid's going to be a serial killer, but I do think that the way they're framing it is that this guy is either his other biological son or was like a son to him. Mm-hmm. And so it's somebody we haven't met, but at the same time, they are doing that thing where they don't show his face.
Right.
So they do that
like
when
we have seen him
right.
before.
So either we've seen him before or we will eventually see him, and they don't want that reveal. Otherwise, in the beginning, I can understand why they did that because they wanted you to think it was him, the viewer to think it was, the husband. But what were you going to say?
If it is someone we've met, do you have any predictions?
Well, we have the cop.
That's what I was saying.
That other cop is the only one, but I don't think the one that got stabbed, who's really smart.
Oh, I was going to say Santa.
He's young. He's too young.
It'd be the smart guy or their boss.
Let him be a good character for once.
Maybe. I mean, I still think it could be him because we don't know exactly how old he is, do we?
No, but I think he's young. I think he's too young.
I think
he's definitely younger than the husband, and I don't think that the person at that time was. He felt like he was older than Hansu. Huh?
That's what they want you to think.
Okay. I can't believe you're throwing him under the bus like that.
I just think it'd be an interesting plot twist. Like, be like, wow, That's fine.
Just like in Inspector Crew when they had that moment where you're like, Santa is a creeper.
Is he a bad guy?
Yeah. So what about you? What did you think?
It's getting messy. I like that the sister's more included now.
Yes.
I like the little dynamic that the trio has going on. Scooby Gang, and I like how the wife is. I mean, she's being cool, but she's not being like annoying. I think.
Okay.
Not at the moment. There are times where she's like kind of annoying. Like, I don't know. It's just there's like a lot of times where I just want her to be just all right. Tell him, hey.
Yeah.
I know who you are, but
I do think that that's now knowing her decision. I think I understand like why she can't do that.
Yeah. Because
he wouldn't do that. Do you get what I mean? Like he wouldn't be able to continue to be Heesung if she confronts him and says, I know, but we won't tell anybody I know. I feel like he wouldn't be able to do that. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry, I kind of zoned out.
I don't think if she...
Because I was thinking about what I was going to say.
I don't think if she told him, look, I know, but I'm not going to say anything because I want our daughter. I don't feel like he would be okay with that. I think you run the risk of him being like, well, I got to leave. Like, I don't know.
I was going to say, like, what was her plan when she was heading to the reporter's house when she knew that he was there?
Right.
Like... She
that's the other thing.
To confront him, like,
that makes no sense. Like, if you're gonna do this, then stop
pretending. If you're gonna confront him and then he comes up with some kind of lie, are you gonna just sit there and pretend to believe it? You got to stop putting him in these positions to lie. Like, if you want to talk to a reporter and you see that he's there, then you call the reporter and say, "I need you to come here," whatever. But she can't help herself because she's a woman scorned. That's why it's not gonna work. When he came up to the door to look at her face.
And then she kind of grinned and she was like, that's hot. All right, so let's talk about it. Episode 7 begins with the morning after the car accident. And we see that, or we assume it's like but it's after the car accident and Hyun-soo wakes up. The son is already in a coma.
Just the morning after.
Yeah. And he wakes up and he's like, what the fuck am I doing here? And he stumbles out of the bed and he's like, ooh, rich house. I'm going to steal some shit. And then they bust him. And apparently we find out at the beginning of the next episode that they were just like keeping him there against his will until they came up with their plan. But we still don't know why, how the son ended up in a coma.
We just know that the mother did it.
Yes. Yeah. So then the next scene is Ji-won watching him sleep and remembering having sex with him. And I was just like, this has to be like a flashback. And Kaylee was like, no, I think it was the night before. And I'm like, how the fuck do you sleep with him knowing what you know? Nico. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you do that? How do you sleep with him knowing what you know?
It felt like a flashback to me.
Yeah, Kaylee was like, it's the same PJs. I'm like, those are just his PJs.
Right, especially when we get to the next time they're in bed and then she just doesn't even want to look at him.
But, like, because I was saying it's like the night before because the PJs were on the floor. And I'm like, oh, it's showing how the PJs got on the floor. Okay. He went to bed without his shirt on. Okay. And then also, she starts crying while they're making out on the bed.
Yeah, that's true. So it was. So she gives him a new watch.
That was good.
It was good because I didn't even think that there was anything in it until the reveal. Yeah. And then she goes and requests his family records. And this is what I was talking about, like with Korea, them tracking, like genealogically, their family trees and stuff like that. Which again makes sense because it's such a, what's the word I'm looking for? Homogenous? Is that the right word? Country. Like where America is a big old melting pot, right? Mm-hmm. But it's mostly Koreans in like native Koreans living in Korea, And with the common last names and stuff, you just have to be careful that you're not marrying cousins.
I remember that clip you showed me and them reading out the players on a sports team.
Yes, in the World Cup.
Like Kim.
Yes,
Kim.
the Korean players. There was like 9 of them last name Kim. Kim. And then they realized that we get a flashback to the witness because she comes forward with this answer machine message that the killer left for her, threatening her because she did see him kidnap that woman, and it was because she rear-ended him while drunk, and the woman stumbled out the back seat of the car,
which wasn't locked for some reason.
Yeah.
I was really surprised when she was looking up his like younger self and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised she didn't cross-reference, like, because she got a video of him in the, I guess, psych ward or whatever he was. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the next one.
But like, why she didn't cross-reference it between the actual name he is now, and like find photos or videos of that and say, okay, these aren't the same kids.
Well, that's the thing. So my assumption is that. Well, I agree with you that I even said the same thing. I was like, it's weird that she's not investigating how she came, like the parents, right? Yeah. Like, why is he with them? But I do think that right now her main concern is catching this killer and clearing his name of that. So at this point, I guess you could, like, how old is the daughter? Like 5 or 6. Yeah. So I guess at this point, this has been your family dynamic for 5 or 6 years. They have not yet done anything to your daughter. I guess that's something that can kind of wait, if that makes sense. But the other thing to that, though, is I don't know how much she would find, because we saw later that when they presented this to him, one of the things they had him do was slowly disassociate himself from all of the son's real friends and stuff. I would imagine he scrubbed internet stuff too, like photos and things like that. Like that, I feel like is something pretty easily you can control.
Medical records.
Yeah. But like for someone like me, that would be harder because I have a big internet presence, if that makes sense. Like Instagram, Mm-hmm. But like you would imagine like a single younger guy, if he cuts off stuff with friends and then deletes his social media accounts, if he wasn't podcasting, blogging, there's probably not a lot of photos of him on the internet to begin with. So the sister and then everyone else sees on the news that they play the recording. And of course, it's the angle is that it is Hyun-soo who left her that threatening message. In this scene, the reporter was on TV. I didn't even know. Listen, we're watching the scene, right? When they're on TV telling, the fact that the accomplice threatened this witness or whatever. And I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, he looks so familiar. What have we seen him in? I went to IMDb and everything. And then I'm like scrolling through and they had like Chinese restaurant owner, Hyun-soo's dad, like they listed, it was like maybe 14 people listed in an episode. And it was like every minor character plus major except this guy. And I'm like, why aren't they listing him? And then when they played the recording for the audience, the camera really focused on his face. And I was like, yeah, like he's important. Like his reaction is something they want the audience to see. Who is this guy? And then I was like, Kaylee, is that the reporter? Because he was all cleaned up. His hair was done. He had on a suit. I damn sure. Yeah, I didn't recognize him at first. So when he calls him, Hyun-soo calls him and he's like, look, you're not helping because everybody thinks that it's still Hyun-soo. Like, we're supposed to be taking the heat off of me for them to be looking for me. He's basically like, I got 200,000 Instagram followers. Talk to me nice.
That he used that shit throughout the whole episode.
Yes.
That did 200,000 followers.
He was like, talk to me nice. That's like that woman on Twitter. Oh my God. The other day, did I show it to you?
I know, I saw.
Yeah, but she was like, sarcasm. And she was like, how the fuck am I supposed to know you're being sarcastic? She goes, anybody who's seen my tweets knows that I would never say that. And I look, she has 264 followers. I was like, bitch, nobody's seeing your tweets. Shut up. Yeah, so then Ji-won goes to the like, I don't know if it was like you said, the children's hospital, psych ward, orphanage, wherever he was evaluated. And she looks at his old therapy videos. And there was one part that was so frustrating because she asked the woman, why do you think he has so-and-so dissociative, whatever? And the woman was like, let me show you a video first. And then she shows her the video, but they never go back to answering her question. And the video is just him beating the shit out of some kid. And they said he was triggered by whatever he listens to on that recorder, that tape recorder, which she has in the bag of stuff, right? Okay. So
which is so weird. Like, I have questions about that too.
I thought it was the sister, but it's probably the mom. And it's probably, and that's what, no, what?
What, wasn't there screaming on that tape?
No, it was a woman singing and humming.
Oh, I thought it was screams.
What? Why?
I don't know. For some reason, I remember like him, and it was just like screams. So I kept thinking it was like he had some kind of recording from the father holding women or some shit.
No. So then the father, the fake father, wants him to promise that if he gets caught, or if he comes close to getting caught again, like if he fucks up again, he wants him to leave, like disappear for good. And he's like, I will make sure your wife and child are taken care of for the rest of their lives, but you got to get the fuck up out of here because you about to fuck everything up for all of us. I just got to say that we have the Ring doorbell thing, and so you get like neighborhood alerts.
I would say you guys have more fucking dogs running around.
Oh my god,
every
people!
Single day there's
how
a
are there so many? It's just now.
This morning,
Kaylee took Nico out today, and like she said, he was like going, like, so if you're going up the driveway, Donnie, to the right is just like wood space between our house and the next. And so I tell her, don't take him over there. Don't even let him get used to going over there. Because that's where she saw the deer that time. And I don't know what else is out here. And she said that he was like kind of going towards that area. He was peeing and he kind of stiffened up. And she looked up and she saw two animals running away. She was like, I think they were dogs. And I was like, they could have been wolves, coyotes. I don't fucking know.
Like, I don't know how big wolves are. Wolves are big, right?
Not really.
Oh, really? I thought they were really like, bigger than... It was like an average-sized dog. There was two of them. They're like white. So it was like coyotes. I didn't know how like...
Can you please hurry up and get here? Because I can't deal with this. I'm a city girl.
There weren't no leashes or anything. There's no human with them. It's just two wild animals.
And I've already said, I mean, I know all our stuff is going to be here soon. I don't know how much I want to unpack. Because I can't do this, Donnie. I'm not built for this. So anyway... So he's like, and he promises, he's like, yeah, if I fuck up again. So that's another reason he's kind of like really wanting to like not have this attention. Because you saw when they put it on the news again, the dad, what's the first thing he did? He reached for that little burner phone. And I was like, who he gonna call? What is he doing? Like,
it said he was like, it was like a search option.
He was about to go scorched earth, I think. So then the sister visits the reporter at work to talk to him, but he's all hungover from the night before. He looks a hot fucking mess.
When this scene
his shirt was all nasty and stuff. Like, how do you fuck go to work like
and
that?
You know he smelled like liquor. You know he did. It's like, how you come to work like that? Yep.
When the scene started and she arrived, and like his boss came to him, the older woman. She's like, "There's this girl here for you. She wants to talk to you or something." Like, what did she say? She said she was like a witness?
Donnie, what is that noise in the background?
Hold on, it's the washing machine. Let me close the door.
Okay, because it's like, there's like, like the ocean. I'm like, where are you?
It cuts to the sister sitting in the chair. And I was like, oh. And then a few seconds later, I was like, oh, they used to date, and it didn't hit you. Forgot about that. I completely forgot that they used to date. And I was like,
I did too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how serious.
This whole shit was about to get. I was like, oh, dip. I thought she was just going there because he was the reporter on the news. So she goes to talk with him.
Wait, he tells her they used to date his boss.
Yeah. And the boss was like, really? Oh, shit. Because you look like shit. And she doesn't. But they meet at like some sort of cafe or something, and she says she's being followed by another reporter. Right. So
I wonder who the other reporter is.
I think it's the one who was on TV and got in the cage and was the one who like put his foot in her door. I think that's who it is.
Okay.
I think it
was outside her house or something.
Yeah. It may be not the one from TV, but I think we've seen him before.
Okay.
So then the wife goes...
So he's the accomplice.
G1. Oh, maybe. Oh, my God. It could be one of the reporters. That makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. Look at you, Donnie, solving the case. So G1 goes to the Chinese restaurant to ask the owner about the recording, the cassette. And it's weird because she listened to it, but they didn't let us hear what was on it.
Right.
And I'm like, why are you going to him asking when you have it? Like, you've heard it. I don't know. I guess she wanted to know if he's ever said anything to anyone else about what was on it, because she clearly didn't understand what it was. But I feel like you would assume that it's his mother or sister. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he remembers interrupting him listening to it, and the guy, and Hyun-soo like twisted his arm. Mm-hmm. He's like, I should have fired him, but I was paying him slave wages, and oh, never mind. Because you got to think about it. He was paying him under the table and stuff. So she asked the Chinese restaurant owner for a favor. Also, the owner of the Chinese restaurant, the old man, Donnie, he is the old man from the ATM machine case in Attorney Woo.
Ah.
Yeah. I was like, he looks so familiar. And then I looked it up on IMDb last night. And I was like, oh, shit. So she asked him for a favor. We don't see what it is. And then she goes home and she confronts her husband with the bag under the guise of, Hyun-soo was a metal worker. You're a metal worker. Maybe you can help me figure this out. I was like, nigga, run. Like, what are we doing? Like this, I felt like she was, like, this was such bullshit. Like, I felt, and there are a lot of times, what I like about this show is, they don't do the thing where they make the person look like they're obviously lying and nervous. Mm-hmm. I feel like 9 times out of 10, I believe her. Like, they have the actress play it as if this is really what's going on. Mm-hmm. Except in this scene, it was so fucking intense. And the way she just kept going on, I was like, dude. And I don't know if it's because he can't pick up on emotions. Like, maybe that's why he's kind of dense with it. But yeah, to the point where he had sketches. Hyun-soo had sketches of things he made, and one of the things is in the shop.
Right behind her.
So then, like, in the next episode, Donnie, when they bring that up, when she was like, he was metalworking, I think she's at the police station or something, and then they do a flashback to the notebook, and he's sitting there, like, welding something. I was like, he better have gotten rid of that bracelet, and then sure enough, he was changing it.
But even she was telling her, like, I think she was telling the coworkers, like, oh, he's a metalworker, and he's got to still be metalworking.
Yeah. I was like, sis. Especially with that smart motherfucker sitting across from me, you need to stop. And he's already suspicious of her, right? Like, they're always like, why are you so insistent that it's not Hyun-soo? So,
and I feel like metalworking is one of those unique jobs that there's not a lot of metalworkers out there. You can probably pull up the 20 that are in Seoul.
Yes.
Just go look at them all.
Yes. The other thing that I thought was interesting about this is... No, wait, I had a thought and I lost it. It's something about the investigation. Okay, maybe it'll come back to me. Anyway, so then this was out of no fucking where. And I was like, there's no way Ji-won knows this. Her mother, Nico, I swear to God, you better shut up. Her mother takes Eunha, the little girl, to the other grandmother. She's like, I got work to do, so you got to watch her. Here she is.
She's like, she tries to say, like, what do you think you're doing? And then she's like, anyways, bye.
Yeah.
She
just dipped. Grandma says that, like, the other grandma, blood is thicker than water, so you have to like me eventually. I was I'm glad that this actually did work. At first it was rough because my girl was like, all right, you just work. I'm going to sit over here and work on this calculus. She pulled out that book and she was just doing math. And my grandma was like, you don't know what you're doing. Is your mother forcing you to do this? And that's what I think it is. I feel like something with her son has to do with maybe pressure of like school or, you know, education or being successful, because she starts ripping it up and the little girl is crying. And then she's like, I'm sorry. She's like, buy me an egg tart. That little girl's a hustler.
I started liking the mother more.
Yes.
In these 2 episodes.
Me too. So Ji-won takes Hyun-soo to their old house, the serial killer house, the house he grew up in, knowing good and goddamn well this was his house, and takes him down to the basement, and she starts playing the fucking tape, and that's when we hear it's a woman like singing or humming. And this nigga starts having a panic attack. Like a legit fucking heart attack, panic attack. And she was saying how she talked to people and they said that the recording, like whenever he would listen to it, he would get violent. And so she was like prepared to pull her gun if need be. And he starts walking to her and he like pushes her up against the wall. And I'm like, girl, this is where I said to you, I was like, now she's just being cruel. Because I don't know how she doesn't know that is either his sister or his mother. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think he would only get violent if people interrupted him while he was listening to it.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's what I mean. It's just like a dangerous game she's playing at this point. So he was like, I really think we should leave. And then she was like, well, I think this might have been before the tape. She was like, well, he's late. And she was like, he said, who's late? She says, I asked the Chinese restaurant owner to come.
I told you his ass was going to come. I knew she was going to use his ass.
But she really wasn't. She just wanted to see how he would react. She was bluffing. She had told.
But no, he was on the way, wasn't he?
No, because we saw him. Because remember, she called the woman, the guy that got killed in the restaurant, that the cabbie killed in like episode 2 or 3. She was at a temple praying for her husband. And the favor that she had asked the Chinese restaurant owner was, could you meet me at the temple so we could say a prayer for him? That type, and support the wife. So he shows up there and the woman's like, what are you doing here? And she's I'm supposed to meet Detective Cha here. And so when he starts to have his panic attack and she calls him, she just says, I'm sorry, I can't make it. My husband is sick. He doesn't know that he was never coming to that house.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Again, it's just dangerous. She's just playing.
Yeah.
And the episode ends with him sneaking out to go see the reporter. And we see that she knows exactly where he's going because she put the tracker in his watch, the new watch. Yeah. Okay. So then in the next episode, again, we learned that he had been kept at their house for a bit. And so in the first episode, the flashback, it was like summer of 2008, I think, or 5. And then here it was the fall of 2005. So they had him there for a minute.
They're like, we decided to make you our son.
Yes. They're like, read this.
3 meals a day.
Go dye your hair. Yeah. But again, we still don't know how exactly the son ended up in this coma, right? When he comes back from seeing the reporter, he lies about where he was, right?
She calls him out on it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, the sister, I'm sorry, I missed this part. In the other episode, the sister when she goes to the reporter's house, she tells him, my brother didn't kill the village head, I did.
Yep.
And then that's the end of that. Like, we don't see, but when he goes we don't see how that ended until the next episode. And then when he goes to see the reporter, he tells the reporter, I want you to help me find my sister. Oh, that was the other thing I was saying. Like, you could tell when he was listening to the recording because she offered to play it for him. And he was like, no, that's creepy. I don't want to hear it. And then she left the room and he went right out to the balcony to listen to it. And he did that thing I was telling Kaylee I hate in TV where, like, you're outside or you're somewhere doing something you shouldn't and you know that another person's in the next room or whatever, face the fucking door.
Yep.
Like, 'cause this way you could, the whole time you can control your face. You could just be like, you're talking to your mom, whatever. Like, why do you have your back? And I get it. It's for TV. It adds to the tension. Because then the viewer doesn't know at any time could he be busted. But anyway, when you see him listening to the recording of the guy threatening the witness and the sister, they both pick up on the same thing, that he talks about, remember what happened to that village head, because the guy setting him up knows that everybody thinks Hyun-soo killed. For all we know, he thinks Hyun-soo killed the village head. But he was like, he got killed because he got nosy. And that's not why he was killed. And Hyun-soo didn't do it. Like, he knows he didn't. The sister did it. So they were both like, there's some bullshit going on. Yeah. And I like that. I like that makes a lot of sense. That he was like, yeah, there is somebody else and we got to catch him. So yeah, he ends up lying to his wife about where he was. And then the little boy from episode 1, he's out here doing hood rat shit with his friends.
He done went down the wrong side of the street.
Like what is he doing? See, I hate this because I hate this because misogynists are going to be like, see, you need a dad in the home. She was like, his dad left and he just went off the rails. And I still wasn't 100%. Like, there was like it's like these guys making kids do crimes for them, right? Because they don't.
It was just
basically
weird.
Like in weak hero class, right? Where it's like they won't send you to prison. So, yeah.
They just, I don't know. It just felt weird because one minute they're all around these like this serial killer case and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden they're just investigating.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what this
stuff.
Right, but we learned that at some point they actually get put on a special task force to look into that. Yeah, and they get like a new office space and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, there's that whole thing where, and he's looking rough, like his clothes were dirty.
It doesn't look like his wounds are healed yet. Like, I don't know his wounds.
He was gonna get hit by a car. He's like, "Don't chase me, because I'll fucking run out in the street." Like, you little shit, get your ass over here. And they later meet with the mom, and she's just like, "I don't know what to do." And they tell her like where they last saw him at that like restaurant area, so she goes there. But that doesn't work because we see later he goes to. Now, I do feel like they gave us a hint because, and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit. They talk about the fact that there's a serial killer, but one of the things that they typically do is look to see what the victims have in common. Mm-hmm. But because the father wasn't a suspect till he was already dead, right? And because he was caught, they didn't even bother to investigate the victims anymore. And the only reason they know as much about the last one is because the husband cared enough to put in the missing person report, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things they want to go do is talk to everybody from the last time she was known to like be seen and doing things to when she disappeared. And it turns out she talked to a lot of people because she was looking for a job. Mm-hmm. So then there's like a segue where they were like trying to figure out how she would have encountered him, the accomplice. Mm-hmm. And it cuts to employment agency. Mm-hmm. And then you see the little boy walking into one because he wants a job. So I'm still not...
And nobody there took him seriously.
Nobody did. He's like, fill out your resume. And that's what Kaylee was like. He's going to first thing, set my dad up for attempted murder. Yeah, so I'm wondering if that is going to be the connection later. But anyway. So the reporter, I think his name is Min Woo. I got to stop saying reporter. He sets... Mujin. He sets up a meeting between the sister and Hyun-soo. What's her name? Hyuna? They have the same fur. So his is Hyun-soo and hers is Hae-soo. Oh, it's the Soo part is the same. Okay. Mm-hmm. So he sets up the meeting and he like takes credit. He's like, I'm just that good. No, you're not. She found you.
and then he's like, and then the brother comes to him. He's like, I didn't meet my sister. And he's like, I found your brother. And he's like, no, you didn't. He came to you. Both of them came to you.
Right. So he does meet his sister at that place where we saw her working that time.
The pool.
Yeah. And he starts like, listen, the accomplice gave you a keychain and I need to know.
You didn't say hi.
No. And she was like, get your ass over here and give me a hug. So they're looking through he's showing her pictures of his family on the phone, and he says that the daughter is nothing like him. He's like, I check regularly to make sure she's not a fucking psychopath.
I check for dead animals under her bed.
I check her drawings at school. They're all perfectly fine. And then we see that Ji-won is listening to it. Like, she's standing there. I was like, how the fuck they didn't hear her come in and stand there? And she's hearing all this stuff, and she hears him.
Echoey building.
Yeah. And then she hears him admit he never loved her. Not for a second. But see, now Kaylee and I were saying he don't know. He don't know how to talk about emotions or even process them.
Right.
Like, he obviously cares for it.
Right. Like, he took the fucking tools hitting him on the back for her. Like, I just don't think he gets that is an act of love. I don't think he even gets that, like, continuing this lie in some ways has been an act of love. Yeah.
But I do like that the sister picked up on it. Like, she tells him, you're different than you were.
Yes. And that is one of my favorite scenes so far, the whole series. I'll get there. So, she leaves after that, though, right? And then when he comes home, he lies about where he was again. And then her inner monologue is her saying that this will be her last gift to him, to let him live as this.
After that scene where she overheard them and she left, you turned to me and you're like, what would you do? And I saw she was walking on a bridge. I'm like, jump off that bridge.
Yes, that's right.
What would you do if you found out your husband said he never loved you?
And you doing all this shit for him. You running around, protecting him and shit. And he's like, I never loved her, not for a minute. I was like, yeah. And it's interesting because she asked, do you love me? And he did not say yes. He's like, why would you ask me something so obvious? And kissed her hand. I was like, ooh.
He's good.
He's good. And I'm wondering, has he ever said it? Like, in the show? Yeah. So then we basically have two teams, right? Of two Scooby gangs. We have Mujin, the sister, Haesoo, and then Hyunsoo looking for this accomplice. And Hyunsoo is fixated on this one portion of the recording where you can hear the sound in the background. Donnie, do you have any idea what that sound could be?
I have no fucking clue.
It sounds so familiar, though, too.
It does. And he's like, I know I have heard that before. So it makes me think that...
He even said he had been to
wherever that was. So it feels like the father took him around, that guy. He just doesn't know.
I think they hinted at it being something to do with metalwork.
Yeah.
Probably
but that's what he had said, wasn't
it?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I think he did say that. I don't know.
It just sounded too... I don't know, not like metalworking, but it sounded like a pattern. Yes,
it didn't sound man-made. Like the intervals, it sounded like it was a machine. It was too, yeah. So a lot of shit happens here. At the police station, she realizes that I'm trying to figure out why she rushed to talk to the reporter, because they were saying that the accomplice definitely was using the dad's car.
Oh, they're going to say it's someone he might have met.
The reporter might have met.
His father a lot. No, it was saying it was someone Hyunsoo himself might have met, because it was someone who hung out with his father.
Right.
To exchange car keys and stuff. Right.
And so she's going to go... She just rushed out.
She said she was going to... She said she wants to make him know that, and it's like, how are you going to tell him that?
Because that makes sense, because she knows he's working with the reporter, so she wants to tell the reporter so that he can start thinking of, but she can't tell him that. That makes sense. I'm glad you said that, because I didn't catch that. So that makes sense. That's why she rushed over there. So
I knew he was there.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But that's the thing. I didn't catch her saying that, and we didn't know where she was claiming to go. And then it cuts back to them at the reporter's apartment. I'm going to kill that dog. And we knew she was going somewhere, so I jokingly said, she's going to show up there. But I was stressed because I'm like, why, sis? You gotta know he's there. And if you're gonna let him live this life, but I didn't catch her saying that she has to let him know. So that makes sense. She's telling the reporter. But then you should just she could have just called the reporter. She could have stepped outside the police station and called him and figured out and said something like, this is what we think. You grew up with him. Did he ever, like, you knew him in, you know what I mean? And then he would have said no, but then he would have immediately rushed in and said, oh, this is what they're looking at. Do you think, you know?
I thought because the way she worded it, I thought she was playing with her husband.
But then just wait till he gets home. Like, why? Like, again, if that was the case, you got to know he's there. You should have just been like, all right, y'all, I know. Let's sit down and figure this out. You should have got 4 pizzas because, right? Like, she didn't. She was being like abrasive, and you know, because he had told her on the phone he was sick, and then the pizzas arrived.
She's like calling him out on
right,
like, oh, you have guests,
right? Like, just fucking
stop pushing him into this corner.
And meanwhile, he's in there having a fucking panic attack. But then he's like, you know what? Fuck you. You think you're gonna catch me? I'm gonna catch myself. And then he just shows up, and she was like. But then she kind of smiles a little bit because she's like, that's my tricky husband. Like, she liked that shit. She's like, this is exciting. This is like their foreplay. She's like, oh. Touche.
This is why they're still having sex.
He was like, checkmate, bitch. She liked that shit. Weirdos. But then, at the same fucking time, the fake dad gets a call.
I forgot about this.
Now, clearly this woman can talk. She's deaf, but she can talk, right?
I thought it was...
Because it was
the text message that he got.
Oh, I thought it was a phone call.
It just, like, kind of said it in her voice. Like,
Gotcha. Yeah, the fact that the wife has been locked in the room with the son all day. Mm-hmm. And she was basically like, I'm going to kill him and kill myself. And when the husband comes in to stop her because she'd already taken off the oxygen mask, he was like, could you live with yourself? She's like, I'm next.
I'm not going to live with myself.
She's like, this all the shit, you only care about your position and luxury, so we going to leave you to it.
Right.
But then the eyes are open.
Yeah. We didn't talk about the scene where he hit her.
He slapped the shit out of her.
Because
because she fed the baby the pigeon. Oh. She was like,
And then they went to go talk, and she tried to tell the maid, hey, I gotta use the bathroom.
Right, and the maid couldn't hear her. And she was like, what the fuck, bitch? I said I gotta pee. I will pee on this floor.
I thought she was gonna walk in on that.
Yeah. And he did kind of get up on her, right? He was like, the 6-year-old was wandering around our house. And I was like...
She was saying a lot of stuff that was like... Because she was like... She said, where were you when he took his first steps? Where were you when he went
called his ass out? Yes. Like, She was like, it ain't just me. Like, come on now. We both failed. Yeah, but he slapped the shit out of her. And then when
she was like, so this is your limit?
Yes, right? Yup. She was like, you weak bitch. I barely said anything. She was like, that's it? That's all it took? I really do like her now. Yeah. So what they gonna do when this man wake up and he's like, I would like my life back. And I'm gonna tell everybody everything you did to me.
You don't think he died?
We think he's alive because the way his eyes were open. The way they were looking at him, they were...
I thought he was dead. Was just telling us that he was dead.
I thought his eyes were also kind of moving at the end, but I don't know. It looks like he had 2 different colored eyes.
Yeah. So yeah, that was it. I have no I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know. No. Donnie, what'd you think of Chainsaw Man?
You watched episode 8?
Yeah, I watched it. I had to watch that first.
Why'd you make me watch that?
Yeah, you showed me the message.
Why you make me watch that? Because if I'm going to be miserable, we all going to be miserable. Mama ain't happy, nobody happy.
But the way that show is nobody's probably freaking
No, I think that the only one not is Makima.
Yeah.
I think. And Denji. But
it just sucks that he turned down sex because he
Donnie, he's 16. I need you to settle the fuck down.
60-year-old.
Jesus Christ.
I was just thinking about that the other day. Young, dumb boys don't think about age difference.
No, they don't. But that's the reason why it's still considered, that's what we got to stop that myth, right? Mm-hmm. Like when teachers when it's like male teachers against female students in high school, everybody's like, oh, but when it's like the other way, it's like, ooh, look good for him. And it's like, no, because you put that in their heads that it's okay. They can be, it's still rape. They're still being manipulated. They just, they don't know it because society is like, haha, it's bullshit. I wish somebody would. My 15-year-old, 16-year-old son, I will be in prison. You hear me? Shit. Anyway, take both that bitch's eyes. No. Anyway, that's it. That's all we got. We are ahead on this show, so I don't think it's gonna the changes that are coming up with us in the next couple of days. I don't think it's gonna affect this show, but I'll say it now in case you are.
Nico, turn this thing on.
Do it. Anyway, the changes, Donnie is finally leaving Oregon, and he's driving here to Georgia, and it'll take him a few days, so he won't be available to record. So anything that he is on that we haven't already recorded is going to be delayed, and I don't have a comprehensive list of what that includes off the top of my head. But yeah, that's why I will keep you guys informed. But as always, you can go to projectfandom.com/schedule and look at the schedule, because that should tell you when you can expect things. And I am pretty good about sticking to that schedule, even though sometimes I'm a day early or a day late. I update it when I know that things are going to be early or late. Yeah, that is it. I want to thank you guys for listening. Thank you for subscribing. And we will be back in your earbox next week. Earbox. I don't know. It was like in your ears and your inbox, and I just said earbox. Your ear holes. Next week with episodes 9 and 10.